Welcome to the Right Hand Roadmap, the podcast for seconds in command of founder-led companies. I'm your host, Megan Long, owner of Second First. In each episode, we show you the path to success on your journey as the number 2 leader in entrepreneurial companies. I am so happy you are here. Today, we're talking about developing your team with Ryan Castle. Ryan Castle is the co-founder of Level 10 Leaders, which is a leadership system that creates momentum at every level of your org chart. Through Level 10 Leaders, Ryan and his team have trained more than 3,000 leaders in over 250 organizations across the globe. They partner very closely with EOS implementers or integrators or that second in command role in entrepreneurial companies. And the system makes people leadership or that lead, manage, accountability in EOS a known measurable outcome, which is really cool. And they do it through just 2 hours a month. I was especially excited to speak to Ryan about this because I talked to a lot of seconds in command and integrators and COOs that are naturally really high performers and have almost just found themselves promoted into this role. So sometimes it's difficult to look behind you and think, okay, how can I develop other folks on my team to get them to the next level when I just kind of found myself in this position? So I am so excited for you to meet Ryan, and let's dig in. I have been looking forward to this for a while, I think because we both kind of support leaders but at different layers of the accountability chart, right? So there's just some great synergy that I think we're going to have today.
Let's dive in.
What is Level 10 and how do you help entrepreneurial companies?
Sure. So Level 10 Leaders, we are a leadership development system and we help scale leadership right across the organization. And I think that's often a challenge for organizations where they've entrepreneurial business, often started by someone who has some leadership capability. They get things off the ground, they start growing, but then the challenge is how do they then grow other leaders in the business as well?
Which I love, because do you find that folks that themselves are natural leaders, either as entrepreneurs, have a really difficult time either teaching that or distilling it down to what makes them successful to then make others successful?
Yeah, I think it's a really good insight, Megan. And you could probably break that down into both leadership and management. And there are different skills that go with those two areas. And it's not unusual to find people that are entrepreneurial, have some natural leadership capability. They're used to charging from the front and suggesting others follow them along. Often we find that actually their management skills can be not as good as their kind of maybe the natural leadership that comes to them easily. But by nature, these visionary entrepreneurial people, they tend to be big picture thinkers. They're looking out into the future continually. They're really good at the, hey, come follow me. But then when we talk about the role that really your Second First play is how do we sit in behind that with really good management practice so all these great ideas actually turn into something that gets executed. So I think we would find often that even in organizations where someone might be assessed as, oh, you seem to be a really good leader, it's okay, great. Are you also a good manager? Because it's really the combo of those two skills that's super important.
This is such a good point that leadership and management are different things. Do you have a definition of each that you work off of?
The one that comes to mind is leadership is about doing the right things. So have we got clarity on where we're headed, why we're doing this, what is our path to the future? And then the management definition of that is doing those things right. So once we've clarified what they are, how do we then make sure those things get executed? So to break that down, one is about making a really clear path, making sure we're aligned with where we're headed. And then the second one is the daily execution of getting that path delivered.
That's great. And so, okay, Level 10 to me insinuates traction, EOS. That's typically where that is used. Do you exclusively follow EOS principles? Do you only work with EOS companies? Kind of where does that kind of fit together?
Good identification, Megan. So first, we love that association. The branding was quite intentional from us, one from an association with the vernacular around how EOS talks about their level 10 meetings. But we work with organizations that run outside of the EOS framework as well. So when we were talking to organizations going, hey, we're thinking about using this level 10 branding, what does that mean to you? All of them that weren't involved in EOS were, hey, that sounds like aspirational. We're used to kind of 10-point scales. If we're getting our leaders to level 10, clearly they're going to be the best of the best. So we felt it was a good fit to have some alignment, but also mean something to organizations that weren't running on EOS.
Yeah, I love it. It definitely does imply winning, that you are 10 out of 10. So what do you typically see when you're working with these growing entrepreneurial businesses? What's like the biggest mistake you see companies making?
In the relevance for where we are, we certainly see let me take you back a fraction to why we started Level 10 Leaders in the first place. We were doing a lot of work ourselves with entrepreneurial leaders. We were developing their capability that often had quite a bit of investment in themselves already. So they had developed some good skills in this leadership and management space. But then we were continually seeing strategy fall over because the organization couldn't execute what the leaders were trying to get in place. And it was really this classic capability gap between senior leadership executive teams and then their managers that were running the operations of the business. And no surprise, it's often because those people that end up in those management, people leadership roles have been the doers. They've been really good at the job, and someone goes, hey, Megan, you're great at the job. You've been here a few years. We're going to promote you to be the leader of the team now. And you're like, great, new title, a bit more money. This is great, excellent. Dive into that. And then you're like, oh, actually, I'm a doer. I don't really know how to lead people. And we were continually seeing people bounce to either end of the continuum. One end is I think as a leader, I'm supposed to yell at people and tell them what to do. So they move into like command and control mode. Or they go, oh, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here, so I'm really just going to kind of keep doing my doer job, hide in the corner and hope that the team figures it out. And what sits behind that is really most of these people just don't have the confidence because they've never been taught what great leadership and management looks like. And so when we started exploring this, we were saying to organizations, how are you developing your people for these leadership roles? And what do you think the most common response was?
Oof, probably not much.
Yep, that was number one. We don't do anything. We just promote them and hope that it goes okay. Or the second one was, we send them off to a one-day workshop on how to be a good people leader. We're like, oh,
right.
How's that working for you? I think we've all had that workshop experience where we've gone along, been crammed full of information for a day, and then 2 weeks later we're like, oh, we didn't really implement anything and we can't really remember it.
Or here's a book.
Yeah, or here's a book. Correct. Yeah. So our system brings together a whole number of components to actually create the behavior change, not just give people more information. So coming back to your original question, Megan, of like, what's the biggest mistake? I think we often see organizations constrained by the lack of leaders across the business. When we have a very capable visionary or owner, and even then if they've got a really great second first, 2IC sitting alongside them, again, if there's still no leadership beyond that executive team, the ability for the organization to scale is really, really constrained because you've still got those 1 or 2 people that are making every decision, trying to manage every project, trying to get the whole strategy executed, and there's no leverage in that play. So I think that's a significant mistake that we see all those organizations make.
And I do think that a business, you talking about constraints, it's only going to be as effective as whoever that weakest leader or that weakest manager is. And just working with the second in command or the integrator role, what we see usually is that person diving down to almost co-manage that department with the person, as opposed to finding ways to develop and grow them up to do it autonomously. Which then you're short an integrator, you're short a second in command because now they're doing work that's below their level. You named it without naming it, but Peter principle is such a huge issue that I see in these entrepreneurial businesses where the star employee of a department is identified and then promoted to be the manager of that department. Do you feel or do you see that there are other qualifiers that should be looked for before promoting to be a manager other than they're just great at their job?
100%. I think the first thing is really engaging with that person who is your star and have an understanding of where do they want their career to head. Previously, we've said, look, the only way to really progress your career is to keep moving up the ranks, so to speak, and become the leader of people. Organizations are getting smarter around that now. They're going, actually, we might have a technical growth track for some people because they just have no interest in leading, if we were to use EOS language, the get it, want it capacity piece. I think the want it bit is a really important part of leadership roles. Do you really want to be leading people? And some people might be hesitant because they're like, I'm not quite sure what good looks like there. But hey, we can train that. So that's not a problem. But there are just fundamentally some people like, I don't want that. Deloitte released a really interesting survey about Gen Z just a couple of months ago. And the desire, and the way they framed it, the desire for Gen Z to now kind of have the corner office, it's just not a thing for them anymore. They're looking for growth, they're looking for development, they're looking for alignment, they're looking for purpose. But this whole idea of climbing the corporate career ladder, it's just disappearing from people's aspiration. So I think firstly, asking people, is people leadership something they were interested in? If we were able to give you the right training, give you the skills and confidence to do that, would you be keen to proceed into that role? That's the starting point, because otherwise you're setting them up for failure. You're often doing a lot of detriment to the business because you take a really high producer out of a job, move them into a leadership role so you don't get that great producer element done anymore. And you could also, maybe a little dramatic, but you could ruin a team as well because now they've got a leader who maybe doesn't want it and maybe doesn't have the capability to do the role really effectively so that they can do their best work as well.
Yeah, that's great advice for, I guess, anyone kind of having that conversation about their career path. Another question that has come up recently with several of our members is going from peer to manager and how to avoid just kind of staying in that buddy role and how to really elevate as a manager. Do you have any advice around that?
Indeed, it really comes back to the skills that you need to lead and manage people. So, again, you don't have to bounce from one end of the continuum to the other. You don't have to go from, hey, we were co-workers and we had a great friend relationship as part of that co-worker to, hey, now I'm your boss, so I can't be your friend anymore. I think it's just ridiculous behavior. So you can maintain a great personal relationship with people that you manage, but you do have to manage. And managers I'm not talking in the context of we've got a performance issue here and now I've got to manage you from a performance. But as a manager and a leader, I'm here to help you do the best work that you can possibly do. I'm here to help you remove roadblocks. I'm here to help you align priorities. I'm here to help you stay communicated and connected with where the organization is going overall. None of those things should affect a personal relationship. So I feel like maybe people get too um, dramatic about now I'm your leader, so maybe I can't be your friend anymore. I just don't think that's the case. I think you can maintain a great personal relationship. However, you do have to acknowledge that I now have a leadership and management role, and part of that may require some difficult conversations. Yeah, and so the coming back to the do you have the skills and confidence to lead? If you've got those things in the bag, then you can maintain great relationships and also be a fantastic manager and leader of people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we include in part of our like second in command integrator training as well is getting those folks really on board with what the vision is. Because I think otherwise you're going to have that, well, this doesn't come from me. This comes from, the upper management. I'm just the messenger. And you just start eviscerating your authority and trust and all of that when you start having that disclaimer, I guess, to your management.
Indeed. Look, the two groups of people we're talking about here, I think, have the toughest jobs in organizations. Second command is like the toughest role going. You're most often paired with a visionary who has like 100 ideas every week, wants to, can't even remember the idea they had last week, and now they're like, oh, can I just thought of this last night, can we implement it today? I know what that's like. I also have a visionary as my business partner, to the point that I actually built a little quiz tool for him that says, hey, when you've got a new idea, can you run it through this quiz before you present it to me? So, it's like, does it address a real pain in that our customers or suppliers have? Is it aligned with our 1, 3, and 10-year goals? Is it cheap for us to test? Can we go and evaluate it quickly? Is it an either or? So if we were going to do this, what would we stop? And then is the delta kind of big enough for us to pursue it? So is the upside of doing this new idea better? Game changer for my world. Because I like my inbox every morning would be like, oh, I've had these 6 new ideas. And I'm like, hey, great, that's awesome, Mike. Run it through the pace tool. And let's chat about them in our next same page meeting. I think second commands have a really tough job because they're trying to manage the visionary, and then they're also trying to get everything executed in the business as well. And then managers have that at the same level. They've got the senior leadership team going, hey, team, we're trying to get all this executed. Can you do all of this on top of your day job? Can you get these rocks executed this quarter if they're using EOS language? And then they've also got a team that is looking to them for leadership, guidance, alignment. Do you believe in me? Can I trust you? These are all the kind of questions that are being asked. So I think managers and second commands both have a tough role in organizations. Our response would be, if you give people the skills, they can do a great job. But if you try to throw them into that job without having them develop the skills, they're going to be in for a tough ride.
I have another question that is just Ryan Castle's opinion. And let's say that a manager goes through your level 10 program. They are trained. They're the best manager they can be. What is your opinion on the percentage of player versus coach? Like, does it work if they're also individual contributors themselves while managing a team? Or do you see it working best when they're able just to focus on managing the team?
Good question. If I was to answer in a purity, I think we would say no matter what you're doing, if you can focus on the one thing that creates the most value for the organization, then focus on that. So, yeah, that would be my answer to that. I think the reality of the kinds of size of businesses that you and I tend to work with, people are wearing multiple hats. We often just don't have the scale in some of those businesses to go, hey, you are just going to manage. You don't have to do any producing or do the job. It's just unrealistic. So we're always going to try and find, I think, a balance of going, let's make you the best manager and leader we can do by giving you the right skills, but let's acknowledge that you're maybe still going to have some doing part of your role as well.
Okay, well, that's very realistic. What has been a learning experience for you in working with clients? Was there any moment or kind of like growth that you saw in coaching and working with these managers?
Sure. Uh, Look, the greatest part of what we do is the feedback we get. And a couple of examples come to mind for me, Megan. The first one was we started working with a organization. They do all the like road signage for freeways. So they're essentially a manufacturing company, manufacturing and installation company. And when we joined or started working with them, there was that one person in their team that no one liked working with. He was the blame guy. It was always someone else's fault, all that kind of challenge. We got through the program. Our core program is a 12-month program. At the graduation ceremony, he wrote a poem about how much this had affected not only his work life, but how it had changed his life at home, because he now had all these communication skills. His relationship with his wife was better. His relationship with his kids were better. He was making better contributions in the community, and all his teammates at work were just like, wow, who even is this guy? He used to be just a pain in the A, and now we love working with them. He compliments people when they're doing great work. He acknowledges when things are not in the right place and we need to work on them together. So, when you get that kind of feedback and you see the level of transformation we're able to achieve, you're like, wow, this is why I get out of bed in the morning, because you hear those stories. So that was one of them.
A poem.
Totally. And believe me, he did not strike me as the sort of guy that wrote poems.
What inspiration that you just implanted in this person. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I love stories like that. Transformational. So for seconds in command specifically, I know that you've kind of given it the acknowledgement that it's a very unique role. For someone in that position that's listening, looking to grow and scale their business, what advice do you have for them?
The nature of people I observe in the second in command role is they've got very broad shoulders. They tend to be the people that go, I can do that. Yep, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Sure, I can make that happen. And they end up with this ginormous load that they're carrying, because they don't typically say no. They like to achieve their delivery people. They get stuff done. So I think the first suggestion would be take a step back, look at how everything in the organization is being funneled, and go, are you becoming a bottleneck? Because that can be a huge constraint for the business, right? And none of that is ill-intentioned. I think it's just the desire to continually take on more and more and get it executed. So take a step back, going, if I was able to release some of the things that I'm continuing to do, would we be able to create more leverage, and would we be able to scale and grow this business more effectively? And maybe would I be able to work a few less hours and have a bit less stress in my life as well? Would be a good insight. So I think we see that often. Again, when we've worked with organizations, what we talk about is giving the senior leaders, the visionary and the 2IC, something like 5 to 10 hours per week back to them. How do we do that? Raise the capability of the people that are reporting into the 2IC, have them deal with things so that they don't continually bounce up to the desk of the 2IC, etc. And then you can get back to being focused on probably some of the things you really enjoy doing, and the things that are really going to make a difference in the business. So, the classic working on versus in the business.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And I will second everything that you just said. There's a one-on-one coaching client that I work with who's a EOS integrator, COO position. And once she was able to do this successfully, she told me that she was struggling with not feeling like she was doing enough. She's like, I just feel like I'm like in meetings and having strategic conversations. And it just feels like I don't know how to like fill all of my day now. And she was in her same page meeting with her visionary, and she just said, hey, sometimes I don't know what to do all day. And he said, me too. And they had this like little kiki moment about how they both had so much more time back that they were like, how do I fill this now? And I mean, their growth has just taken off. But they definitely had that moment where they're just like, oh, I'm not really doing as much anymore. Is this okay?
And I think that's the mindset piece, right? That's moving from a doer to a leader. And when you've been doing the doing for years or decades, that habit is ingrained in you, and you're used to checking off the checklist every day and working all the hours under the sun. And they are hard habits to break. And we'd say it's got to start with the mindset shift of moving into that leader mindset of going, what do I do that adds the most value? Checking off the checklist is not what you're going to do to unlock growth in the business. And it sounds like the example you've given there, Megan, is people that have figured it out or are certainly on the way.
How can they get in touch with you in Level 10?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Megan. Level 10 Leaders, so level10leaders.com is our website. Great, plenty of resources there for people to access, and you can connect there. Connect with me directly on LinkedIn or Ryan at level10leaders.com. And then the other thing I thought was to offer them a free copy of our book. So we have a book called The Active Manager. So maybe I can provide a link to that for you to drop in the show notes. That's lvl10.us/AM book. But we'll drop that in the show notes, and then people can pick up a free copy of the book. And it's really this is how you create good managers in your business, to create that kind of space so that as senior leaders you can get onto the value stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is so generous. We will definitely link that in the show notes for everyone. That's amazing.
Great.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Awesome. All right. This has been incredible. And I think that you are just solving a common pain point for all of these businesses. And just thank you so much.
Thanks, Megan. It's been a joy. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
To find show notes and links for anything mentioned in this episode, visit secondverse.com/56. Be sure to subscribe to catch future episodes and leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. And remember, you don't have to navigate being a second in command alone with the right hand roadmap.